Hey, Viking fans, this is Keith Millard, and you are listening to the One Bar and Lupicus Show. Go Vikes!
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupicus Show on this fine draft week Monday. I am One Bar with Lupicus. It's nightmare scenario time.
Yeah, we did the dream draft already, and we can't really do a nightmare draft because the Vikings have 10 picks. Chances are they're going to take a few guys we like, and a few of these guys are going to pan out. So I don't think you're going to have any complete draft. So we're going nightmare scenarios, things that could happen that would keep us up at night.
Well, let's be clear. The Vikings have had some nightmare drafts, so it's possible. It's possible.
It is.
Few programming notes. We're going live Tuesday this week, tomorrow. And then, of course, we will be going live Thursday, doing a little tailgating before the draft actually starts. So be sure to join us. There's going to be some fun shows.
Yeah, kind of a pre-draft happy hour, if you will.
A happy drunken hour, some might say. But let's get into this. What's one nightmare memory you have of recent years?
A nightmare memory, I guess. I didn't want them to take Mike Hughes, and they did. They pulled the trigger. A lot of rumors that was going to happen. For me, that was a nightmare. A lot of people were fine with it. I was not so fine with that one.
Yeah, I mean, nightmare. I think nightmare. I mean, Christian Ponder was a freaking nightmare.
Well, that was so shocking.
Nightmare.
Shocking. I think you wake up with a boner and you don't know why you have one.
It's got to pee.
The biggest one to me, though, if you're going to go way back in time, it's the Troy Williamson one. And, again, that was kind of – it was a late thing in the draft process. The rumors that the Vikings are interested in Troy Williamson. Really, the 3 months before that, he wasn't even ranked in the first round. And all of a sudden, he's this late bloomer. We all knew it wasn't going to pan out. And we were pissed, and we were right. It was a nightmare scenario that happened, and it went as bad as we thought it would.
It was horrible. It was a nightmare. Let's do this. We got 5 nightmare scenarios that we hope do not happen. Let us know down in the comments your nightmare scenario. And this isn't just round one. This is a conglomeration of rounds here. So let's start off with the one that we've been talking about pretty much this whole time. And that is taking Miami edge rusher Jaelan Phillips in round one.
In round one at pick 14, wherever it is. Again, it's nothing against the player. He's a great player, a great pass rusher. He could do wonders for our defense. But those injuries, and it's the concussions that scare me. I mean, you can monitor a leg injury. You can, like with Montez Sweat and his heart, there's things you can do as far as what the doctor can recommend. A concussion's a concussion. You take a shot.
I call you Doogie Howser.
Thank you. I'm wearing my white scrub top here.
That's really nice.
You're playing the most violent game in America, and you're bound to get some shots to the head. So if he's really that far down the concussion list already, I know they had a rule at where was he before where they forced him to go. I think it was Cal, but I don't care. To me, there's too many of those in his history and too many red flags. You can't not take this guy, especially at pick 14. I'm thinking take him the first round altogether.
Yeah, I mean we know the story. We know the risks involved. I just don't think the Vikings are in a position to be able to take that risk. And really, what the Vikings don't do in round one? They do not take defensive ends. Doesn't happen. Rasmus James is the last one, 2005.
That was another nightmare.
Yeah, no, that was actually a great pick when we got him. So
turned out to be a nightmare.
I was with you. You were very excited.
We all were.
Exactly.
Could have got Erasmus James.
So Jaelan Phillips, yes, that is a nightmare scenario. Let's go to another nightmare scenario. Let's go with the thought of Rashawn Slater falling to pick 13, one pick before the Vikings, giving us false hope, having us shit ourselves thinking, oh my God, this could actually happen to the Chargers, a team that needs an offensive lineman.
Yeah, if Rashawn Slater made it to 13 and we couldn't get him, that would be, if it was a movie, it'd be Cruel Intentions. That was the biggest cock tease of a movie that ever was. This would be a huge cock tease for the Vikings to get that close to Slater, and you can't get over that last hurdle for him to get to you at 14. That would be heartbreaking. It would be devastating. It would be very, very hard to swallow. I might watch Cruel Intentions later now.
Yeah, it's very risque. And yeah, I don't think my heart can handle that. I hope with Rashawn Slater, it's a pipe dream he gets to the Vikings anyways. I hope he goes at like 8, somewhere just where it's like, all right, that makes sense. He's gone. Another scenario is, let's just say for some reason the Chargers don't want Rashawn Slater. Let's say they want a Vera Tucker or somebody like that, or Darrisaw. Somebody is going to trade up. I mean, everybody's going to know the Vikings want Slater. So it's kind of like a double whammy for me.
Yeah, that might be even worse if someone moves up to get him in front of us. That would just be the
helmet change.
Ultimate slap in the ass.
Oof. Yeah, so that is definitely a nightmare scenario. We went through that last year with Justin Jefferson. Luckily, panned out well for the Vikings.
It did. We had one more hurdle to go, and the Eagles went with Jalen Reagor. So thank you, Eagles.
Yeah, you were not a Justin Jefferson guy.
I didn't think it was going to happen, so I wasn't really on him.
All right, next nightmare scenario. The Vikings not selecting a guard in the first 3 rounds. We know we got those 2 third-rounders and our first rounder, and that's assuming we don't take one in round 1.
I'll let you start with this one.
Well, I'd love to say that there's just no way this is going to happen because it's such a huge hole and the Vikings will absolutely fill it. There's a bunch of guards in round 3, 4 that make total sense that are going to be there that could be day 1 starters. But the Vikings, just like defensive ends, they do not take guards in the first 3 rounds. They just don't do it. It doesn't matter how much of a need it is. They don't do it. The last one, I'll count Pat Elflein. Fine. We drafted him as a center. He played his first year as a center. So actually, no, I'm not going to count him. You go back to Marcus Johnson in 2005 was the last guard we took in the first 3 rounds. That's not just that. That's the first 3 rounds we've done one. And before that, it was back in 1993. They don't take guards, and I don't know why.
You don't. You go back to last year, guard was easily when the Vikings, maybe it was the biggest need, and they addressed it in the draft, their last pick with Kyle Hinton. So it's just very possible to happen. And the thing is, Rick Spielman, he's not great at getting those mid-round guards. Drew Smith didn't pan out. Pat Elflein didn't pan out. I'm calling him a guard in this, my little rebuttal here. But if you can get back in round 2, Spielman tends to do better in round 2. So I feel much more better about him getting a guard in round 2 than I do about him getting one in round 3 or 4. But I pray that he addresses that by round 3, hopefully our first pick. But it's easy that they could skip it because if you do go pass rusher first, maybe they take a quarterback and the safety. There's other needs that they could go with. So it's definitely possible they don't do it until round 4.
Well, the last round 1 guard they took was Randall McDaniel. So they got quite the streak going. So
yeah.
It's got to happen. It's got to happen. All right, what do we got? We got 2 more left. 2 more nightmare scenarios. Let's throw this one out there. Danielle Hunter getting traded on maybe not even first round, just draft weekend.
Yeah, it was the guy from ESPN wrote an article about this. It was to the Texans. I don't think the compensation was actually very good.
It was a 2nd and a 4th.
Yeah, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life. No, you don't trade your best player. I don't want this team to get worse during the draft. And if you trade Danielle Hunter, this team would get worse. That to me is just one of the biggest nightmare scenarios we've mentioned here. You cannot get rid of one of your best players, especially for peanuts like that. I would have night sweats for a year thinking of what they did. Yeah,
the only way this could happen is if they had an offer that knocked their pantaloons off, and nobody's going to do that with up in the air as far as his neck injury and all that. So, yeah, it would be horrible. It would be absolutely horrible. The thought
Makes
of that
me
happening.
sick just thinking about it. The guy who wrote that article should be fired.
Yeah, and ESPN. I don't know who's proofing these things. They try to look at the 2nd and 4th. You probably should maybe not write this article, sir.
You know who would accept that trade?
Who?
Jeff Carson.
Jeff Carson would accept that trade, and he'd be relieved.
He would be.
All right, final nightmare scenario is the Vikings stand pat at pick 14, and they just don't take the best talent on the board. They reach, they fill a need. And they leave guys like Micah Parsons or Devontae Smith on the board, or maybe even one of those top 2 cornerbacks on the board, just to take a Darrisaw or somebody like that, just to fill a need.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy. That's definitely a nightmare scenario. You're picking up 14. You're really outside. I think there's top maybe 12 elite talents in this draft. If one of those guys falls to you, go ahead and just take that player, take the highest player on your board, and truly do it this year. You don't have a 2nd round pick, but you got 6 picks in rounds 3 and 4. You can hit your needs there. So if one of those you leave, even if it's a corner, I think you got to pull a trigger and take the best player on the board. And to pass on that is a mistake, and it's a god dang nightmare.
Let's get some talent on this team, huh?
Hell yeah, let's do it. Woo!
All right, those are our nightmare scenarios. Again, let us know in the comments your nightmare scenario. Join us live tomorrow. Join us live on Thursday. Let's get pickled.
You know, I wouldn't mind even hearing just some of our viewers' nightmares.
Yeah, I'm sure they're horrifying.
I'm sure they are too. Are you a turtle guy or a tortoise guy?
I don't know the difference.
I don't either, but there was once a tortoise named Adawata. He lived from 1750 to 2006.